my name is Janine, and today I'm going to be showing you a board game meant for formative assessment that I made for grade 6. This is based on the CAPS content for Natural Science and Technology grade 6. The board game's name is Science Trivia. As you can see, this is a picture of the board where learners will be playing on. Just a quick look at what you need to play this game. I made 184 question cards based on NST content for grade 6. These question cards have questions ranging from lower order questions to higher order questions. You will need the playing board that includes questions based on term 1, term 2, term 3, and term 4. Learners in a group can be 4 to 6 players that can play on one time, and they will use 1 dice instead of 2. They will use these figures that I made to move on the blocks on the board, and these red cards are the crazy scientist cards, where learners can choose to do either the question or they can do a silly thing that's written on the back of the card when they land on one of these red blocks on the playing board, as you can see. Okay, let me quickly summarize how to play this game. A learner will roll 1 dice, and then the number that the dice lands on is the number of blocks that the learner can move on the playing board. They will stand on a number on the playing board, which corresponds to a question card. The question of the number of the block that they are standing on is the question card that they will take out and answer the question on a piece of folio paper. They will have a minute and 30 seconds to answer the question. They have to write out the answer to the question. Okay, the most important rules for this game is that learners have a minute and a half per question to answer it. Then they have to move on. They will keep time using the analog clock that's hanging in front of the classroom. The learner that gets to the end of the board the fastest with the most points wins the game and wins a sweet from the teacher. Learners that land on the red blocks on the playing board can either answer the question that's on the front of the corresponding question card, or they can turn it around and do a crazy, silly thing that's written on the back. For example, here it says you can do the question or be a crazy scientist and do 25 jumping jacks while whistling. This is only for the red blocks. I made 184 question cards, so I cannot put every one of them in this PowerPoint, but just to tell you, my question cards range from lower order questions to higher order questions based on Bloom's taxonomy. How the point system works is cards that include questions that only recall information count 1, cards that have questions which requires learners to understand the work count 2, and so on based following this hierarchy of points as per the Bloom's taxonomy. All the cards that test recall or remember questions, or in other words Bloom's level 1, is basically prior knowledge that have been covered in previous grades. I cannot put all the question cards into this PowerPoint, so if you want it, you are welcome to request it for me. As you can see, here is just a few examples of how the question cards are set up. You can see list to conductors. List is the action verb that tells us which level of Bloom's taxonomy. This is level 1, and this is testing prior knowledge of grade 5. And then you can look at the others. Describe a way how you can process food to make it edible. This is a Bloom's level 2 question testing grade 6 content. Points are given according to the level of the question. The level 1 question on Bloom's taxonomy equals 1 point, and the level 5 question equals 5 points. And then learners have a minute and a half to complete this question on their empty folio paper, and this is to practice their writing skills and also to teach them time management when answering questions in the exam. The main objective of this game is to be a form of formative learning for learners, formative assessment in preparation for a test or exam. So they can play this in those days leading up to the exam where the teacher has nothing to do for them. The twist of this game is that the teacher is not going to be marking the answers that they write down, but each group will receive 2 copies of a list of all the questions, all 184 questions, and then also a list with the corresponding answers. This will enable learners to see their own mistakes and how they can better them when they actually write the exam. The questions are set up to match the way it's set up in the exam. And then what learners have to do after they marked the questions is they have to communicate it to their group members as a form of revision, and just so other learners can see how to answer different cognitive different level questions. Another objective is that learners can see that learning can be fun. It's not always sitting in front of a book. And then a game gives learners the option of self-regulated learning. So the teacher is not so involved. Learners can play the game, do their questions, and then mark it on their own, and then communicate it to each other. About my game is that it covers all the content for grade 6. There's multiple questions on each NSC strand: life and living, processing, matter, materials, processing, energy and change, systems and control, planet Earth and beyond, systems and control. From term 1 to term 4, there's questions for each strand, for each subtopic. As you can see, here are the amount of questions per strand, and each block on the playing board represents a term. Each color on each block represents a different strand, as you can see here. This is the term, this is the 2 strands that's represented here. All content that I used in this board game comes out of CAPS grade 4 to 6, and I also used Thunderbolt Kids as a resource. You can visit this link to see awesome resources. And then learners have to use scientific sketching when they are required to draw something for a question. Label on the right side, do the sketch in pencil, do a heading, label in print. I just want to quickly show you that I have cards that include diagrams or tables. Other cards have figures, and this is for learners to use higher order thinking and to develop scientific process skills, since most of these questions call on learners to observe and predict. Learners also have to communicate their answers at the end of the marking phase of the game, and some questions even require learners to measure. So yes, I think my game includes a lot of higher order thinking, and just again, this is not the only cards with diagrams and images and tables. I just cannot fit all of the questions into PowerPoint. This game was so affordable and easy to make. I made most of it with recycled A4 white paper on the back of old printed documents. I used coloring cookies to draw pictures and color the playing board, and then I made little clay figures with cake flour and clay that I made self. The most interesting features in the board game is the 10 red squares that requires learners to do a silly command that's on the back of the question card, or they can do the question, but it's their choice. And then learners who land on 3 or more of the red blocks win a prize, and then the learner that's the quickest with the most overall points in the game wins a sweet from the teacher. Okay, so none of these pictures that I use on the playing board is just to be there. It's all of them have a purpose. I'm just going to point to it and tell you which strand in grade 6 topics is this coming from. This flower is life and living. This sun is life and living photosynthesis. This pickle jar is preservation of food and processing strand. This fridge is also under processing and a way of preserving food. This ice cream is state of matter, matter and material strand. This battery comes from systems and control. This light bulb is related to circuits, electric circuits, a light bulb. This rockets and planets has to do with planet Earth and beyond, and also systems and control. This frog has to do with life and living things and wetlands, organisms that you might find in a wetland. And then this saltwater solution has to do with mixtures and solutions under matters and materials in term 2, I think. Okay, and I hope you get an idea of what you can do when you decide to do a DIY for your class. Thank you.